Have you ever felt a quiet stirring deep within you, an inner pull, without any obvious reason, as if a soft yet powerful voice were whispering that life holds something far greater than what you currently see or feel? This isn't just a fleeting thought or passing emotion. It's a profound inner calling, mysterious, unmistakable, that arises when the time is right. It's not random. It marks the beginning of one of the most meaningful and life-changing journeys you can take: a spiritual awakening. This awakening isn't simply about changing beliefs or gaining more knowledge. It's a radical shift that shakes the very foundation of who you think you are. It peels away illusions, liberates your soul, and allows you to see life through a completely new lens. Though each person's awakening is unique, like a fingerprint of the soul, most spiritual seekers move through a series of common stages. These stages act as doorways, guiding you away from your old self and toward a truer, freer, more spiritually connected version of who you really are. In this video, we'll walk through the 5 key stages of spiritual awakening together. This isn't a fixed roadmap. Think of it more as a living guide, something to help you understand where you are on your path and where you might be headed next. From the chaos that first shakes your reality to the deep peace of a soul rooted in truth, each stage has its own purpose, its own power, and its own mystery. This won't just be a list of facts. It's a deep journey into the inner symbols and energies that shape your transformation. I encourage you to listen with receptivity, to discern what resonates with you, and most significantly, to acknowledge that you are not solitary. If you are observing this, it is probable that your soul has commenced its awakening, indicating that your metamorphosis is already in progress. Spiritual awakening is neither a contemporary phenomenon nor merely a transient trend in personal development. It is an ancient procedure documented in sacred scriptures, preserved in obscure temples, and transmitted verbally in esoteric institutions for decades. The stages of waking, as we now refer to them, were previously termed the initiation stages of the soul. In ancient Egypt, the priests of the temples of Isis and Osiris directed initiates through symbolic rites of death and spiritual resurrection. These were not theatrical rites, but genuine trials for the spirit. The initiate confronted internal turmoil and ignorance to ultimately attain the illumination of insight and unity with the entirety. This pathway was delineated by 12 portals of transformation, each corresponding to an elevated state of consciousness. In Hinduism, awakening is frequently perceived as the process of Kundalini, the serpentine energy situated at the base of the spine. As this energy ascends via the chakras, it stimulates spiritual awareness and broadens consciousness, culminating in enlightenment or samadhi. This energy elevation encompasses distinct phases, obstacles, and insights. Buddhism likewise encompasses this concept. Siddhartha Gautama, before attaining Buddhahood, underwent various internal transformations, including renunciation, doubt struggles with the ego, achieving enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree, and eventually committing his life to altruistic service. His adherents recognize that every authentic spiritual awakening entails disruption, lucidity, and metamorphosis. The mystical literature of Gnostic Christianity discussed the understanding of the heart and the essence of the soul. Awakening transcends merely embracing new beliefs or undergoing conversion. It is a deliberate expedition towards the inner sanctum, the kingdom of God that Jesus alluded to when he stated the kingdom of God is inside you. In the Gospel of Thomas, Christ is shown not as an exterior rescuer, but as an interior divine essence that requires activation. Neoplatonists claimed that the soul descends into the material realm to acquire knowledge, forget, and subsequently recollect its divine essence through a process termed anamnesis, or sacred memory. This procedure sequentially represents the soul's reversion to its primordial origin, the One. The notion of awakening has been prevalent in numerous shamanic traditions, including within indigenous communities. Awakening frequently commences with a summons from the spirit or a crisis or ailment that signifies the onset of transformation. Individuals who respond to this summons must endure symbolic hardships, including fasting, visions, seclusion, and the dissolution of the ego, ultimately emerging as healers, guides, or visionaries. These traditions, distinct in time and location, collectively convey a profound understanding. Spiritual awakening is not a singular occurrence. It constitutes a voyage. It is not an abrupt epiphany, but a profound metamorphosis, occasionally arduous, yet invariably sacred. This path is characterized by stages, cycles, and transitions that guide us from obscurity to enlightenment, confusion to clarity, and from the finite self to the boundless being. In today's hyper-connected world, where spiritual fulfillment remains sought after, individuals continue to experience awakening, even as we no longer venerate ancient statues or meditate in caves. The procedure remains constant. The subsequent 5 stages of awakening are grounded in ancient wisdom transmitted over millennia. They serve as portals to your authentic self-reverberations of wisdom that your soul inherently comprehends and is now recalling. Spiritual awakening fundamentally involves a return to the eternal, rather than the discovery of something novel. It is the process by which the soul, formerly dormant in the illusion of the material realm, commences its reconnection with its heavenly origins. Although each path is distinct, there are universal phases that characterize this sacred trip. Stages that are tangible inner gateways unfolding sequentially in alignment with our development. This initial section will examine the first 3 stages of spiritual awakening, which serve as a crucible for the soul's development. Some stages are excruciating, some are illuminating, yet all are important. Initially, we encounter the profound existential crisis. This phase is frequently undesirable, although it is unequivocally essential. It is the critical juncture, the instant when the former self begins to disintegrate. Your perceived identity, aspirations, convictions, and relationships begin to diminish in significance. You may have a sense of emptiness, disorientation, and detachment from sources of previous solace. Christian mystics such as San Juan de la Cruz characterize this stage as the black night of the soul, a state of desolation that paradoxically readies the soul for illumination. During this phase, the individual engages in profound self-reflection, and although the ego attempts to maintain its grip, a deeper awareness is emerging within. Typical indicators of this phase encompass existential crises, spiritual unease, sensations of emptiness, a lack of purpose, and emotional seclusion. This chaos is not a punishment. It is a purifying fire, a moment when the caterpillar begins to disintegrate, unaware of its destined flight. Next, we go to the inner call. Following the first disintegration, a new entity commences to develop. Initially, it resembles a feeble spark, however, it is tenacious. This is the summons, a nuanced yet potent awareness that there exists something more, something transcending the mundane realm. You begin to probe all aspects. What is my true identity? What is my purpose for being here? What is the significance of it all? You are attracted to mystical concepts, ancient ideologies, and enigmatic symbols. There exists an almost magnetic attraction to self-awareness. This phase reflects the initial enlightenment seen in numerous spiritual systems. It is the moment when the soul begins to recollect its authentic essence. Although you may lack complete understanding, you possess an insatiable desire for truth, sensing that a profound reality awaits revelation. You intentionally commence your search at this juncture. You engage with previously overlooked literature and are attracted to activities such as meditation, yoga, astrology, or shamanic, not as fads but as instruments to awaken an inner essence. Typical indicators encompass persistent synchronicities, vivid symbolic dreams, a yearning to retreat from superficial surroundings, and an increasing sensation of connection with an intangible entity. Third, we undergo the enlargement of consciousness. At this level, what was previously an intuitive sensation transforms into tangible experiences. You begin to perceive reality from a novel perspective. What was earlier perceived as hard transforms into fluidity, and what looked distinct unveils its interconnectedness. Your awareness broadens, revealing that you are above mere corporeal existence or individual narrative. You are integral to a larger entity. The individual identity begins to merge with the community identity. You may encounter fleeting yet indelible instances of profound tranquility and interconnectedness with all that exists. The dichotomy diminishes, transforming judgment into compassion, shame into acceptance, and fear into awareness. In numerous faiths, this phase is regarded as the emergence of the higher self, the instant when the soul assumes control and commences leading you from an elevated perspective. Typical indicators encompass increased empathy, fluctuations in energy, a profound connection with nature, spiritual or sublime experiences and inexplicable moments of understanding. The fall, the call, and the expansion constitute the initial significant cycle of awakening. They resemble the initial 3 steps a seeker does in traversing the threshold of their inner sanctum. These stages are challenging yet sacred, since each one lifts a veil, uncovers a truth, and draws you nearer to your authentic self. In the subsequent section, we will examine the final 2 stages of the awakening process, during which you not only awaken, but also begin to live from this new consciousness. Thus far, the soul has traversed realms of suffering, desire, and growth. It has begun to recall its true identity and has sensed the reality beyond the illusion. The journey of spiritual awakening does not conclude with a transient sensation of union. What follows is much more sacred and demanding, encapsulating your recollections, embracing the light, and existing in a state of complete awareness. 4th, integration, incorporating your enlightenment into daily existence. Following significant discoveries and experiences, it is necessary to integrate all that you have learned into your daily life. This phase is frequently less theatrical, yet significantly more crucial than the preceding stages. You have experienced visions, profound insights, or perhaps spiritual occurrences, but now it is essential to anchor that wisdom. Spiritual integration is harmonizing your acquired insights with your everyday existence. This is a point of difficulty for several individuals. Individuals desire to remain in a state of euphoria, yet authentic spirituality manifests in mundane instances, in one's response to turmoil, interpersonal interactions, and behavior in solitude. You initiate a purification of your life, relinquishing elements that no longer correspond with your identity. Habits, relationships, occupations, and settings assessed not through judgment, but through discernment. It is not a matter of arduous sacrifice. Rather, it pertains to deliberate enhancement. You are constructing your world based on the newfound understanding you have acquired, accompanied by a profound necessity for authenticity. You desire to forgo wearing a mask and aspire to exist in complete harmony, where your thoughts, emotions, and actions are congruent. At this juncture, spirituality transcends mere conceptualization. It evolves into a mode of existence. Indicators of this phase encompass the pursuit of inner equilibrium, implementing significant lifestyle alterations, cultivating more harmonious relationships, sensing a desire for service or purpose, and encountering instances of inner tranquility. This phase is prolonged and cyclical, resembling a spiral that intensifies with each iteration. It never really ends because there's always more to assimilate, yet every layer you align with makes you feel lighter, freer, and truer to yourself. 5th, conscious mastery, being of service to all. The final step of waking isn't about retreat, seclusion, or obtaining perfection. It's about being totally present in the world with your feet on the earth and your soul connected to something higher. It's about becoming a living bridge between multiple dimensions. At this time, you're no longer searching, not because you know everything, but because you've already discovered inside yourself the source that holds everything. You've progressed from being a seeker to being someone who carries light. This mastery isn't about hubris or ego, it's active humility. You recognize that everything continues to evolve, yet you no longer reject it. You flow, you serve, you radiate. You are a guide without forcing your beliefs onto others, a teacher without having students. You're like a lighthouse that doesn't need to convince anyone, but simply shines and transforms things through your existence. At this point, your energy starts to impact others naturally, and you attract people who are ready for their own transformation. Your words, silences, and acts serve as a remedy, not due to your preparation, but because you are a conduit for a force far superior. This represents the Bodhisattva in Buddhism, the enlightened individual in Vedanta, and the incarnate Christ in Gnosis. It is not about detachment from the world, but rather about being completely engaged within it, moving among others like one who carries a lit candle. Typical indicators of this phase encompass profound inner tranquility, detached engagement, devoid of aloofness, perpetual inspiration, the attraction of searchers, and the capacity to sustain higher energetic environments. Nonetheless, akin to previous phases, this is not a conclusive endpoint. It is not the pinnacle of the mountain, but the commencement of a new cycle. A genuine master perpetually embraces the enigma, consistently honing their energies, serving quietly, and recognizing that the journey lacks a conclusion, only deeper dimensions. Through these 5 steps, the soul awakens, undergoes purification experiences, growth achieves alignment and ultimately realizes its true essence. There is no return, no more facades, only the existence of an entity embodying the utmost truth. Comprehending these phases of spiritual awakening constitutes a significant insight, yet that understanding transforms into wisdom only via its application. Enlightenment does not occur in a concealed temple or on a lofty peak. It occurs in daily life, in traffic, in challenging dialogues, in the stillness of dawn, and in the choices we make when unobserved. This approach will teach you to identify your current stage and how to deliberately incorporate each one into your life. Awakening transcends the mystical. It is fundamentally a human experience. Initially, if you are experiencing the black night of the soul, recognize that this signifies a profound purification. Do not resist the darkness. Instead, study it, heed its presence, and inquire about the essential lessons it seeks to impart. The essential principle is to permit oneself to experience emotions without evaluation. Document your experiences. Do not entirely isolate yourself, but selectively share this process with those you cherish. Cultivate detachment, not from rejection, but from comprehension. Release whatever which no longer aligns with your essence. Occasionally, the complete loss of all possessions is the sole means to rediscover one's identity. Recall that you are not descending, you are being reestablished. Maintain a shadow journal to document your pain, confusion, and intuitive perceptions of unfolding events. Secondly, if you sense an internal summons, now is the moment to embrace the unknown without requiring complete understanding. Examine, investigate, and immerse yourself in other traditions. Nonetheless, prioritize heeding your inner wisdom. This is your authentic guide. Enhance your bond with nature, attuned to your body, and permit yourself to engage in experiences without stringent expectations. Engage in methods such as meditation, visualization, mindful walking, or prayer. Your soul will convey messages in accordance with your readiness to receive them. Establishing an altar for enlightenment is a beneficial activity. Expensive objects are unnecessary. Only symbols that signify your commitment to reconnect with the holy are required. Third, during the growth of consciousness, one begins to perceive a connection to a larger entity. Your emotions become more nuanced and your thoughts broaden. It is a moment of attunement with the invisible realm. The crucial aspect at this point is to avoid haste. The intellect endeavors to comprehend your experiences, however the soul communicates subtly. Be mindful of your words, actions, and decisions, not due to a pursuit of perfection, but because you now recognize that everything possesses its own energy. Select from a state of awareness, respect your vitality, and engage in deliberate silence. Allocate 10 minutes daily to sit in solitude without expectations and remain present. The spirit fortifies via simplicity. Fourth, genuine transformation commences upon the integration of all acquired knowledge. There is no longer a necessity to retreat to nature to experience spirituality. One can sustain a high vibrational frequency even amidst a bustling city. Nevertheless, you may experience a temptation to revert to previous behaviors, individuals, locations, or circumstances that want to draw you back into your prior identity. Refrain from engaging in conflict with them. Express gratitude for the lessons learned and select an alternative course of action. This is an opportunity to cultivate new routines, dietary practices, rest, relationships, and habits, not as duties, but as expressions of affection toward your rejuvenated self. Establish a holy practice, whether a thoughtful morning or evening ritual that includes meditation, gratitude expression, energy cleansing, and affirmation of your journey. Fifth, upon reaching the stage of conscious mastery, you have ceased your quest and commenced living authentically according to your truth. Your purpose is not to impress others. You are present to excel. The ego persistently diminishes and each day becomes into an act of relinquishment. This phase necessitates humility. A genuine master perpetually embodies the role of a student, continuously acquiring knowledge, experiencing setbacks, and honing their essence. The labor is perpetual, it merely intensifies. Strive to assist without compromising your identity, to lead without fostering dependency, and to support without becoming enmeshed. This represents the intricate equilibrium of grounding oneself physically while aspiring spiritually. Engage in discreet service. Perform an act of kindness for another individual daily without anticipating acknowledgement. Genuine strength develops in the obscurity of the spirit. How can one ascertain their current stage? The solution resides within your physique, your sentiments, and your aspirations. No stage is superior to another, and there exists no linear trajectory. Occasionally, one may experience simultaneous stages or revert to a prior stage to address outstanding issues. It is essential to acknowledge your current position, respect it, and progress with integrity. This is not an external voyage, but an introspective exploration of the sanctum of your soul. After walking through the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, you may have come to realize one profound truth: there is no final destination. There is only continuous growth. Awakening isn't a goal to reach, it's a way of living. It's a deep, conscious choice to see the world through your soul's eyes, even when everything around you seems ordinary or still. This journey isn't a straight path. It's not about climbing a staircase to reach some perfect state. Instead, it unfolds in spiral circles that bring you again and again closer to your true self, each time with greater clarity, depth, and love. You might be in the middle of an intense inner crisis where everything feels like it's falling apart. Or maybe you've just started hearing the quiet voice calling you towards something more. Perhaps you've spent years reflecting and growing, quietly transforming without needing labels or recognition. Where you are right now doesn't matter as much as the direction you're moving. Awakening doesn't happen just once, it's a choice you make every day. Each morning you can ask yourself, where do I want to live from today? From fear or from love? From old patterns or from my true essence? Every small moment you choose your soul, you're not just evolving as an individual, you're lighting the way for others. Because one person's awakening helps raise the consciousness of all. This video isn't meant to give you all the answers. Its purpose is to remind you that the answers you seek are already within you. Each stage you move through is part of a larger sacred design, guided by your higher self, a journey meant to help you remember who you truly are. When you feel lost, confused, or disconnected, come back to this message, not as a set of rules, but as a mirror reflecting your highest potential. Remember, no sunrise is too small, and no darkness is too powerful. Every experience, if met with awareness, brings you one step closer to the truth. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to continue exploring the mysteries of the soul and the deeper wisdom of life. And if this touched your heart, consider liking and sharing it with others who are ready to awaken. Because spiritual awakening is not just personal, it's collective. It happens through community connection and love. So now, dear traveler of the soul, let me ask you, where are you on your journey?